would you rather be defending your planet? A bunch of droids or a Jedi? I'm itsmintsalad and I saw Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 1, Ambush. It is directed by Dave Bullock, written by Stephen Melching. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. A king of a planet is trying to determine whether he gets protection from a Jedi or a bunch of droids. One of Dooku's guys is talking to him, being like, hey, how about you get a bunch of these droids? And this king's like, you know what? I'd rather just stick with the Jedi. Let's see what's going on. Let's see how Yoda handles all these obstacles, because they're waiting on Yoda. And the entire episode, it's them betting on whether Yoda will defeat these obstacles or not. And they can watch what's happening on this hologram. And the entire time, it's just Yoda defeating these droids. This guy's like, yeah, I'd rather just have a Jedi defend my planet over these droids, thank you very much. Yoda's going against assassin, Asajj Ventress, that's her name. And she fails against him, obviously, because he's Yoda. Man, I had no doubts about Yoda. I feel like this is just a very introductory episode, since this is the first episode of the first season. It's just meant to expose you the world, which it does a very good job of. I also really enjoyed the pacing of the episode. Sure, there were moments of Yoda just being like walking through and he's just calm and collected and everybody else around him is freaking out. But then when he deals with problems, he's so controlled. After the king's like, you know, I'm just gonna go with the Jedi, then Dooku's like, well, how about we just kill you because you decided to go with the Jedi? And basically Yoda fights the bunch of these droids in protecting the king. And that's a good first episode. It shows that the Sith are bad, that they're dirty, that they're just gonna kill a guy for not being on their side. And of course we got Yoda, he's just here to protect this dude. And honestly, Yoda is so cool. He's much better than all the Sith, because all the Sith are just a bunch of whiny boys. Big old whiny boys. And we got Yoda over here, he's mastered his craft. He's like, what, 800 years old? I don't know how old he is in this series. Let me know in the comments below how old Yoda is. Bro, he's older than everyone. So he's definitely honed his Jediing force skills. So he's real good. He's got the dedication. He's got the craftsmanship. He's got focus. And he's got patience, most of all. Here's something that the Sith lack. Patience. Sith are all cocky. They're like, haha, yeah, we're gonna defeat the Jedi. And it's like, bro, you're not actually preparing for reality. This is why the Jedi get you all the time, because you're so cocky. You're like, we're gonna get the Jedi this time. And it's like, no, not yet, actually, because you guys think that you're gonna get the Jedi. You guys end up not getting the Jedi. And this seems to be not exactly this episode, but just a general overview of how I view the Jedi versus the Sith conflicts. The Sith are always so impatient, so emotional. I mean, you gotta be emotional and like let the dark side get you in and take over you and let the hate flow through you. You gotta do all of that in order to be a Sith. So you're pretty emotional, versus the Jedi, they're very detached from their emotions, which helps them be able to make better decisions, more grounded decisions. But ultimately, the denial of the emotion is what got them just absolutely wrecked. I'm not talking about this episode now. I guess I'm just talking about my general theories on Jedi stuff. But anyway, I like this episode a lot. It makes me really excited for the future of the series. I didn't realize that I was going to enjoy it this much. I like this episode a lot, and I want to know more about the lore, so I've got to give this one, it's a 7 out of 10. We meet a coughing robot in this one. I'm itsmintsalad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 2, Rising Malevolence. It is directed by Dave Filoni, written by Stephen Melching. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. The Separatists have a new weapon called the Malevolence, and we got General Grievous is on that ship. And we also got, they're attacking this ship, right? And they have a bunch of escape pods, and they all pile into the escape pods and all jettison. And then now they're going one by one, looking for survivors, attacking them. Basically, this new weapon is like, it has a circular energy wave ring to it. It is really spooky, and I personally think it's scary because it just keeps on going. I wonder what the distance is on this weapon. Does it ever just stop, ever? What if it doesn't hit anything in its immediate vicinity? Does it just goes on for miles and miles and miles until it hits something? Or does it eventually disappear? I would like to see something like that in the future because that would be really funny. What if somebody's ship just got suddenly deactivated because they got hit with this beam out of nowhere, and it's a battle that happened about 30 miles away? That would be rad. That'd be so crazy. Or whatever long distances in space travel, because I'm sure it's a different type of travel. You know, the distances are different. 30 miles is a lot less than like 50 miles or 100 miles. Of course it is. It's different on the Earth than it is in 3D space, I would imagine, right? Isn't it? Ahsoka's like, we gotta go out and find them. We gotta find Plo Koon, and Plo Koon is her old mentor. They were friends, they were pals, all the fun jazz. She's like, we gotta go. And Anakin's like, I'll ask the council, and then he goes and tries to ask the council, and the council's like, no, I don't think you should, because no, you shouldn't, you know. And Anakin goes anyway and looks for them. And it's because of Anakin and Ahsoka is how they survived. They almost got. Oh my goodness, they almost got. Oh no, it would be bad if they got. But guess what? They get saved. And then they evade the ship, and I'm like, oh wow. That means that they go vroom, they get to hyperspace in time, they go vroom, and they're able to tell the council about this new weapon. Luckily, Anakin took this risk, but it was against the council's orders. He's already causing a lot of trouble for everybody. Of course, Ahsoka has that flair. It's under Anakin's leadership that she is thriving under. Of course, she's her own different person, so she's gonna add her own flares. I think I don't know. I'd have to get more read on her to know exactly what she's like. But in this episode, for sure, she's very kind. She has a kind heart, for sure. But she also has a little bit of Anakin's rambunctiousness. This is a fun episode. I like the tension in this. I also like General Grievous. He's a coughing robot. What makes him cough? Does he have lungs? What is he? Is he just full-on droid, or is he some sort of fusion between biomatter and robot? I don't understand. Can someone help me in the comments below? I like this episode because it starts to show conflict between Anakin and the council, and Anakin and Ahsoka, but they have a cute little dichotomy, and it's cute. So I gotta give this episode, it's a 7.2 out of 10. I'm Salad, and I saw Star Wars, The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 3, Shadow of Malevolence. It is directed by Brian Kalen O'Donnell, written by Stephen Melching. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. Anakin in this one is all like, I'm gonna get Grievous. This is the one in which I'm gonna get Grievous. I'm gonna lead a whole squadron of a bunch of Y fighters. We're gonna go at Grievous. We're gonna do this really ambitious plan. And instead, he is given a harsh reality that plans don't often work out. The universe has its own plan, And Anakin has to deal with the fact that he caused a bunch of people to die, and he barely escaped being blown up. Oh my goodness, this is not a good strategy at all. He's like, oh, I'm gonna make it so General Grievous, he's gonna be done once and for all. And everybody in this episode is like, that's really ambitious. Multiple times. And I'm like, yeah, he's obviously going to lose because how many people have mentioned how ambitious it is and how ambitious his plan is. Anakin is assuming that everybody is him. Not everybody is him. Not everybody is born of the Force. Actually, almost no one is him except for Anakin. So he's way overestimating the abilities of everybody in the squadron. And because of this, he lets the ship get away. How sad is that? That's pretty sad, honestly. I do like how this is a lesson to Anakin to not be so arrogant. Honestly, I feel like this is mostly the point of this episode, is just to show that Anakin is super arrogant. He's in his young 20s, and he's just so ready to get Grievous. But Obi-Wan's like, patience, patience. And Anakin's like, I got this, my master. And everyone's like, be patient. Make sure you have a plan of attack that's more, like, realistic. And he's like, nah, man, I'm gonna do this, and you guys are gonna be so proud of me. And then he fails, and it's so funny. I think because of the lesson that Anakin learns. And I also really like, I didn't mention this at all until now, but at the very beginning of the episodes, there's blue text, normally in the movies where it says in a galaxy far, far away or whatever. And in this one, it's just giving basically the lesson of the episode, just write it out in front. And the lesson of this episode is something like, don't be too arrogant. And Anakin is just too arrogant. And I love it. This is such a good episode because everybody around him is like, bro, don't do this. And he's like, I'm gonna do it. And then he fails, and it's so funny. So I'm gonna have to give this one, I like it a lot. It's a 7.7 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 4, Destroy Malevolence. It is directed by Brian Kennel McConnell, written by Stephen Melching. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. Oh god. It's raining on me. This episode, Padme gets kidnapped. Oh boy, she does get napped by Grievous because she's able to be used as a pawn in order for Grievous to get away. He's trying to have any sort of upper hand to not have his precious weapon that just got discovered by the Republic. He's trying to have it so he can use his weapon again, but of course, Anakin is motivated to save Padme. C-3PO is also there. What's fun about this episode is we have frickin' Padme. She's done taketh, you know, she got tooketh, and Padme's finding her way out. You know, with how many traps she keeps falling into, you would think that Padme knows how to get out of a trap. She knows how to not get into a trap. But Grievous is very successful in getting her into a trap, which is why she gets napped in the first place. And of course, we got Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to help her, and she is able to get into the middle, like, beat halfway through because she's just able to escape, and she's really cool. I like the tension in this episode because while they're trying to escape, there's also this timer on, hey, we're gonna destroy the Malevolence. And then once they get off, in the nick of time, it freaking explodes. I'm like, ha 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 ha, Grievous, bro, you're gonna have to deal with that one. You're the general, so I'm sure nobody's above you. But wouldn't there be somebody above General Grievous? Oh my goodness, it just started getting really rainy. I like this episode a lot. It completes a full arc, a big ol' arc. The three parts episode arc about this Malevolence weapon, and then it getting destroyed. I find that fun. But it also leaves a little bit of room for the next episode. I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this series. I like this episode a lot. I'm getting rained on. Oh, geez. And so I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7.3 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 5, Rookies. It is directed by Justin Ridge, written by Stephen Melching. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows an outpost. It's on the very edge of the Outer Rim. If the droids get it, then they can get to where they're producing a bunch of clones. I forget what the planet is called, but it's really close to that planet. It's normally boring there. We also get to see what type of clone different personalities there are. Even though they're clones, they all have distinct personalities, which I find to be fun. We got this one guy who's like, man, I just want to be on the front lines. I just want to be shooting some droids. And this guy's like, you know, this is important too, right? And we got this sergeant there, he's the one giving all the instructions. And then a bunch of meteors come down. And then it turned out to be droids and they're infiltrating the base. And then they kill a bunch of the clones. And some of the clones, they escape into the maintenance pipe. And there's an inspection that day. And we got these droids, they basically jam the signal where it's just all clear all the time and they can't turn it off. They go, they shoot at the droids, but only after the inspection team comes, suspects something's weird. And then they have like a flare go, and then it notifies them that something is weird, and then they go, and then they take over the base, and then they learn that they can't turn the signal off, so I have to destroy it. And there's one clone who's like, man, I'll just have to sacrifice myself because this won't range detonate. It's only on manual for some reason. It's jammed, so I have to detonate it manually. And so he does, and the entire base gets destroyed, and we got the freaking... I like the shady, underhanded tactics that the Separatists have to go do. Because as soon as the Republic comes, there's just a ton of them there. And they're like, oh no, we have to escape. We're about to take over this base. We're about to destroy the clones, make them crippled. But because the base got destroyed, the Republic got notified and they had to leave. And I also thought it was a fun episode, seeing these clones. This is a clone-focused episode. We get to see the types of people that these clones are. I like how there's two commanders now, because we got the sergeant and then he gets killed, and then you got the inspector guys. They take control of the squadron and they have to like lead them to victory. It's fun. It's a fun time. I didn't know I could get this much excitement watching clones, but I think what they're doing is very important, and I do appreciate the emphasis on them. Is this a sun shower? Okay, weird. Well, I like this episode a lot. I honestly wish there was more focus on Anakin and Ahsoka, but that's not this episode. This episode is here to flesh out the world. But I enjoyed it anyway, so I'm gonna have to give this one, it's a 7 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 6, Downfall of a Droid. It is directed by Rob Coleman, written by George Christic. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows Anakin and R2. They're having just a lovely space battle. I like how they fight. I love their dynamic, and I like how attached Anakin is to R2. This episode really makes an emphasis on how Anakin really depends on R2. So when R2 is lost, yes, he's lost in a space battle, he has to leave his ship and he has to leave the rubbish. R2 is in the ship. And then Anakin's like, I have to go back. And everyone is like, just don't go back. He's gone. He's gone. He's like, no, I can't. Bro, he's my guy. But also, more importantly, I didn't erase anything off of that droid. And everyone's like, bro, why didn't you do that? He said, it's very handy to have information, but you know, it's bad when the enemy gets in hands of our information. So Anakin has to go after that droid, and then he finds out that it's gone, And so he's like, who done did it? And then he finds a guy who's just scavenging for battle parts. He's a scavenger. And he goes on to that ship. He's looking for R2-D2, and he got the scavenger guy. He's like, no, I have none whatsoever. I have no R2 droids. There's some assassin robots. They have a bit of a leave. And then at the end of the episode, he's like, oh, I actually have R2. I'm gonna give him the General Grievous. And then that just leads into the next episode. I'm like, okay. They really gotta find where R2 is going. They gotta get R2 from him. I also think that it was, I don't know if it was reckless. I mean, first of all, Anakin is always reckless. But more importantly, I don't know if he was being more reckless, honestly, in this time than the other times. He did have a really powerful battle, and that was pretty cool to see, but at the expense of losing your POW R2, I don't know if it was worth it. This leads into the next episode, and has gotten me hyped. I also like how everything just builds upon itself, and it's very chronological, and if something happens in this episode, then it will resolve in the next episode or the episode in the future or something like that. And then it just builds on top of each other, and it's nice, and I like that. So I've got to give this episode, it's a 7.3 out of 10. I'm Asad, and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 7, Duel of the Droids. It is directed by Rob Coleman, written by Henry Gilroy and Kevin Campbell. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. After last episode, R2 is missing. Anakin is desperately searching for him, but Ahsoka says that the Republic provided them with a droid, and this droid sucks, keeps sabotaging everything. Anakin is going to that ship, going back to the ship to see where it went, but then this freaking R3S6 unit, it's gold. Wow, that's so cool, gold. Wow. No, it keeps messing up. It keeps screwing things up, and I swear, Ahsoka, you should get talking to as to where you even got that droid from. Where'd you get it from? Why would the Republic send a terrible droid? Or is the Republic just incompetent? And Ahsoka the entire time is like, you'll get used to it. And I'm like, bro, you're naive. Anakin is like, I hate you. You suck. You're terrible. Ugh. They go back to that ship. Cohen confronts, hey, where's that guy? The freaking R3 unit does a what are those like insert things that they have? I forget what they're called. But R2 has it too. They have the little knobbies do, and it goes, and it messes with this machinery. It turns those assassin bots on. I was just sitting there. And Ahsoka has to fight one by herself, and Anakin has to kill them. Man, it just makes it so they get distracted, and then they're like, oh, R2 isn't here. And Anakin is like, no, I know he's here. Also turns on the tracking beacon so Grievous can know where Anakin is, and Grievous is going to his secret hideouts, and that's where he's putting R2, and he's looking for information in R2's head, and he finds a bunch of plans, and he's trying to save a copy of it before they can realize that they stole the plans. And honestly, I don't even think that they do destroy the base, which is the only way you can destroy that copy. I'm like, oh boy, you guys. How are you guys gonna destroy that copy? You made a copy of it already. You guys already got R2. It's too late. General Grievous has your plans. But everything with the copy, the computers on that planet that freaking destroys, or I guess it's not a planet, it's a base. The base just goes, it's a station or whatever. It goes kablowy, and all the copies are gone. And R2 is got, and I like Anakin's instinct. He's like, I knew it. And they were getting Republic secrets. If I wasn't there to stop them, then they would have Republic secrets. And everyone's like, yeah, I guess. You're right, Anakin. You're right. And R2 and Anakin are together. And I like that. I like that a lot. I like how this R3 droid turns out to be a spy working for General Grievous, and he's purposefully messing things up, and he's using the good nature of the Jedi and the good guys. He's using this good nature against him. They give him the benefit of the doubt. In reality, he's really messing everything up. It's such a coincidence, right, Ahsoka, that he's messing everything up? No! And I like how Ahsoka's like, I'm sorry that I insisted you take the droid. I know it's my fault. I'm like, at least you know. At least you know. I like that. I like this episode. Ooh, the cops are coming. The space police are coming. They're going to get me. Also, I like this episode a lot. I would recommend it. I gotta give it, since the resolution's so fun and it just feels so satisfying. I gotta give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'm Salad, and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 8, Bombad Jedi. It is directed by Jesse Ye, written by Stephen Melchi. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. Padme goes to a planet who's needing help with resources and stuff. She goes there, and the guy's like, yeah, the Separatists already are doing what you didn't. I know you want patience, but you know what the Separatists are doing? They're just offering me the food that my people need. He's going with the Separatists because he needs food, pretty much, and he's been out of food for a while. The Republic has made some promises, but clearly they haven't fulfilled, and so he's grown impatient, and he's like, well, I guess I just have to go with the Separatists then. And they kidnap Padme, and the Separatists do a number of things that make the guy not want to be part of the Separatists anymore. He's like, oh no. Jar Jar is in this. Also, they are ordered to stay on the ship, and instead they decide to leave, and they find this Jedi cloak, and Jar Jar wears the cloak. And as they leave the ship, Jar Jar does this thing where he breaks everything and is just generally a clumsy individual, and there are moments of this clumsiness that actually work out for him. Like, he's battling all these droids, and he gets his foot caught, and basically just makes it so they all get crushed, and they get knocked, and it's fun. And then Jar Jar has to figure out how to get C-3PO from being stuck to this magnet thing, and instead crushes the ship. And so they're going to find Padme, but then Padme escapes anyway, and then she basically meets in the middle with Jar Jar and is like, yeah, hi. What's fun, Jar Jar doesn't realize that Padme has gone until Jar Jar climbed the tower in which she was on, and then Jar Jar overhears, oh, she's gone. He's like, he's gone? What? She's gone? What? And then they shoot at him because they think that he's a Jedi. And pretty much everyone is mystified by the Jedi reputation. What's fun is that Jar Jar, there is that Sith theory that Jar Jar was supposed to be a Sith Lord, but then they didn't do it because the first movie did so poorly. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. I think this episode really does play around with that idea, with Jar Jar being a Jedi. But ultimately, I don't think Jar Jar would have been capable as a Sith because he's too accidental. And he's very jovial. He doesn't really have a hate bone in him. Even when he's escaping, he's like goes underwater underneath this grate, and there's this like sea monster. And at first he's scared, but then he befriends the sea monster and is able to save Padme and able to convince this guy that you shouldn't go with the Separatists, actually. Especially since they wanted him to kill Padme. And he's like, no! Why would you do this? It's the Separatist way. This is a fun episode, especially since just seeing Jar Jar doing his hijinks is pretty entertaining. This episode is mostly tolerable just because Jar Jar doesn't speak that much, and there's probably only a couple of fart humor jokes. Versus, I remember The Phantom Menace was full of it, and it's all stemmed from Jar Jar Binks. This is a really fun episode. If you haven't seen it, I think you should. It's a really good way to establish Padme's character, especially with how cool she is. I feel like the movies didn't really do a good job of showing how capable she was, But this episode just goes to show how smart she is and how if she's in a pickle, she's going to find her way out of it. She don't need no Jar Jar Binks to save her. And so I'm going to give this episode, it's a solid 7.4 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. It is directed by Dave Filoni, written by Paul Dini. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. This episode follows Ahsoka pairing up with a chick I've never even seen before, Luminara, but she's a decently powerful Jedi. She's pretty. I like the head thing going on. I also like her chin mark. I think that's nice. These two individuals, they're both on a mission to get Gunray. Yeah, he's notoriously a coward. He uses money to get a bunch of people to do things for him, and then he's just going to run away constantly. So pretty much this entire episode is a cat and mouse chase of Ahsoka and Luminara going after this guy and trying to pinpoint his location, fighting a lot of droids about it. But ultimately, I like how Luminara is like, you got many things to learn, young Padawan, but you are very strong. While they're on this mission, Dooku's like, okay, Ventress, it's time for you to stop them from getting him. And I like the whole battle. We got, oh my goodness, we got Ahsoka. She's going against a bunch of droids by herself, and it just goes to show her power levels. Even though she's young, she's a youngling turned into a Padawan, essentially a young Padawan. She is really skilled, and I'm like, okay, this is why Yoda wanted you to be Anakin's Padawan, because Anakin's also naturally skilled like Ahsoka is, and so there's plenty to learn, and they both have pretty similar personality traits, but also help with each other because they're different enough that their personalities, the blend of them make it so that they're like a good combination, and they work stuff out together in any situation that is necessary. Ventress is defeated. I'm like, man, Ventress is really good at escaping, but also, I swear, Dooku's like, you will not disappoint me. And she's like, I will not disappoint you. I'm like, you will disappoint him. You will disappoint him. Because you let your anger, your immediate rage fuel, like that momentary emotion drive you. But when push comes to shove, you just escape. Like, you're not going down for Dooku. You're not going down for the mission. Like, what if you killed all those Jedi and you were also killed? But you killed the Jedi and you stopped the guy from getting got. Gunray from getting got. But yeah, eventually he gets captured. And I'm like, oh nice, so what are they gonna do? They've captured the guy. What's the next episode gonna be like? Him in jail or something? And then I was like, oh wait, this is a good series, so there's gonna be something happening. Something bad is gonna happen between him being captured and him being put on trial for the war crimes that he's been committing. And I like it a lot. And he's just like trembling, no. That's just him. I like this episode. It definitely leads into the next episode. I'm excited to see what it's like. Let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below. I like this being a more Ahsoka-focused episode. Anakin's barely in it until the end. And I'm like, why are you guys separated? This episode doesn't really say, or if it did, it was so quick that I didn't notice. Let me know if I missed something in the comments below. I've got to give this episode, it's a 7.4 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 10, Lair of Grievous. It is directed by Atsushi Takuchi, written by Henry Gilroy. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows Gunray. He escapes. He's able to escape. The very beginning of this episode is like, oh, he's captured. And of course, you got these guys, they really want him. And these guys saving Gunray really want him because obviously they would. He's literally how they make money. And he's paying all these people. And everyone's like, oh, he's a coward, but he has a ton of money. He has a ton of money to be protected, and he's able to escape. And then what's fun is that he goes room onto this, what seemingly is an abandoned planet. And there's a couple of Jedi in this area, and we're following Kit, who looks like he has like a bunch of dreads for like tentacle hair. He looks really cool. And then we see his former Padawan, a calamari guy. I like calamari. I was like, man, someone should put him in some fried oil, cover him in the batter, put him in the fryer. Calamari. I love calamari. I just started laughing when I heard that name. I was like, oh man, I can only think about eating him now, and that's really bad, but that's what you get when you name a species calamari. Anyway, this guy's name is Nadhar. He's kind of a... I feel like he has some sort of complex going on with him, because we got Kit, he's like, be careful, he's like, I can do what I want, right? Eventually, that type of attitude that gets him killed, I'm just thinking, why do you have that sort of attitude? Just so many years being away from your Jedi Master, former Jedi Master, is going to make you like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And this older, wiser guy is like, no, you gotta be careful. We don't know where we're getting into. This could be a trap. And he's like heading face first into a trap. And it turns out it's a trap set by Dooku. And Dooku's trying to punish Grievous. And I'm like, oh, that's the command chain. Dooku's above Grievous? Or are they just bitter? Of course they'd be bitter. They're of the dark side. They're petty. They're petty individuals. Dooku is being petty here. He's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to do it myself. And he gets all of these Jedi into this trap, and it's noble how Nadhar, Calamari Man. It's noble how Calamari Man is able to sacrifice himself and make it so Kit doesn't die. But Gilroy just escapes anyway. He's just gone. I'm like, well, that was not really a worthy death at all. I also like how Grievous is there. He's going with the spinny spin. Oh man, speaking of Grievous, I forgot to mention last episode. Ahsoka does a really cool like one-on-one battle with Grievous, and it's really cool and awesome. I just wanted to point that out because this battle with Grievous, although he's got like the lightsabers going on, I think it's really cool, and I like the action, and it's really tense. It's not as cool as the one with Ahsoka. Come on, man. But anyway, this is a fun episode because this guy's got away. A coward got away. You get him in your clutches, and he's able to slip out. He's like a weasel. He's like a slippery weasel. And even though he's a coward, he's still alive. Is it more noble to stay alive being slimy than it is being dead with your honor? Let me know in the comments below. I like this one a lot, and I'm excited for the next episode because this one shows a lot of Grievous being powerful, and I understand now why he's such a big threat. Dude, he's got like 4 arms that he could just come out at any time. He's got regular 2 arms and then another pair of arms, just wielding lightsabers. And he has the CPU, the RAM or whatever, to control all 4 of them independently and in perfect awareness of their surroundings. And I find that to be really cool. And so, I gotta give this episode, it's a 7.7 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 11, Dooku Captured. It is directed by Jesse Way, written by Julie Siege. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows Anakin. He got captured by the Separatists, but this was all part of the plan because guess what? They're on their path to go get Dooku. They'd be able to escape. They're following Dooku, but then the cave collapses. And they go into the cave after Dooku, and guess what? Dooku be like, goodbye you guys, and then they go in the cave, and then they be stuck in the cave, and then there's this really giant beast, and that beast is like, I'm gonna get y'all, and they'll be like, uh-oh, we gotta make sure the beast doesn't get us. And then they have the force, they use it to go with the rocks and hit the beast. And then also, I like how there's poisonous gas, and Ahsoka arrives in time. What was that? I also like when Ahsoka be like, hey, I'm here to help you, and Anakin's like, I don't need it, and I'm like, bro, you definitely need it. Also, I am really enjoying watching the Clone Wars series. I've never seen it, and I think, oh man, I might not like it when I first started watching it a long time ago, but then I started watching it again. I'm like, I'm enjoying it. It's good. I liked it. It's also very binge watchable. My worry was that it's not going to be binge watchable with the guy's voice, but actually I like the guy's voice. And my favorite part of the episode has to be when you have the blue text in the front and it says what the main lesson of the episode is going to be, like overconfidence can get you killed, stuff like that. That's awesome. I liked it. Get out of here, mosquito. Ugh. Dooku be like, I'm getting off, and so he'd be going off, and then he goes on this planet, and there's pirates there, and the pirates be like, hey, hi, ooh, looks like people want you, and Dooku's, I can't believe he did this. He's like, yeah, I need you guys' help, I'm escaping, and they're like, well, okay, we're just gonna capture you, and call the Republic and the Separatists to be like, hey, we got your guy, okay, he's over here, you gotta pay us a bunch of money, and they ultimately got way too greedy. These pirates got way too greedy, trying to pit everybody against each other, and they ended up getting nothing in the end. Dooku is captured by them, and the Republic is gonna get him. And that's basically what happens in the next episode. That's the next episode. But this episode, it just establishes the ways in which Dooku gets captured and how desperate the Republic is to get him, to go get him. You know, I like this episode a lot because I like showing the struggles that everybody has. There's more seriousness going on in this first few episodes of this series. There's silliness going on. It's establishing the world, but now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the politics of the world. Why the Republic will pay 1 million credits to get Dooku, okay? Why would they do that? Well, they really want Dooku. He's a major separatist leader. And if they don't get Dooku, then this might be their last chance to get Dooku. I like this episode a lot. I also like how headstrong Anakin is in this one. So I'm gonna give it, it's a solid 7 point, it's a 7.4 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 1, Episode 12, The Gungan General. It is directed by Justin Ridge, written by Julie Siege. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. Dooku is captured from last time. We got the Republic, we got the Separatists. They're all coming to go get Dooku, and I swear, last review, I said that it was going to end bad for the pirates because it does. They get way too greedy. Not only do they have Dooku captured, but in last episode, despite Obi-Wan and Anakin not trying to drink the drugged drinks that they know are drugged, they are somehow in lockup with Dooku. And so we are in a particular situation. They have to work together in order to get out. And there are multiple attempts of them trying to get out, and then they are caught, and then they have to be under more lockdown. And there's like 2-3 times in which it happens. The pirates, the first time's like, man, you're testing my luck. Second time's like, bro, what? And the third time's like, we're not friends. We're just gonna kill you, okay? You keep trying to leave, right? Stuff like that. But they ultimately want the credits from the Separatists and also the Republic, because the Republic is coming with what they need. Also, Jar Jar is here. They crash land on this planet, and there's this ship that comes, and it's like, we gotta stop them from sending the credits, because that's gonna be our credits. And I'm like, bro, everybody involved is way too greedy. We got the Republic is trying to do an honest deal, and we got these freaking pirates. They be like, oh, you know what? We could probably get more money out of them. I'm like, you're not gonna get any money if you're too greedy, which is exactly what happens. They don't get any money. But anyway, we got these people, they be doing the credit delivering, their ship crashes, we got a bunch of clones, we got Jar Jar Binks, and they're trying to figure out where this pirate base is. They don't know exactly where it is, but Jar Jar is really handy at being so clumsy, and he destroys these tanks, and these tanks go in these power lines, and they figure out where these pirates are, and they do a ambush. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you. We got Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan. They have to let Dooku go in order for them to escape. And luckily, Jar Jar doesn't come until the very end when the deal is soiled and Dooku is done, and so the Republic can just go. And what's really fun about this is that we have Obi-Wan, when he's leaving the planet, he's like, we have honor. We're not going to like go after you because you got really greedy. Our deal's done. We don't have any bad business with you. And then they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. But then Obi-Wan's like, oh, and then Dooku, he's not gonna have the same opinion. I'm like, that's true. He is not gonna have the same opinion. He's actually going to do a really dirty job on you guys. I think he's gonna come back with like a full fleet and he's gonna like murder you guys. And you guys are gonna have a rough time. I also like the lessons learned here. I really like the series for the lessons, the quick pacing, the quick lessons, and each episode has a lesson and it just directly tells you at the very beginning. It's like, here's the lesson. Okay, and being greedy means you don't get anything at all at the end, okay? You gotta be straightforward. You shouldn't be greedy. That's what happened to these pirates. They got way too greedy, and at the end, they didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get anything. And they got an enemy out of Dooku, and Dooku's gonna come back, and he's gonna shoot them all, and he's gonna lightsaber them all. And even though the pirates are like, ha ha ha, my men are the best, ha, I'm like, well, you're being very cocky. I don't think that's good for you guys. Stop being cocky. I hope I'm not getting bit by mosquitoes. This episode is so fun because those pirates learn a great lesson. Don't be too greedy. Well, I don't know if they even learn it. How many times have they done this? How many times have they tried to swindle people out of more money and deals? Do they ever get consequences? Anyway, I like this episode a lot. I'm gonna give it, it's a solid 7.8 out of 10. I'm in Sound and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 14, Jedi Crash. It is directed by Rob Coleman, written by Katie Lucas. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode is fun because we're following Anakin as he gets injured in a battle, and Ahsoka has to deal with the fact that she has a personal attachment to him, and luckily there's a Jedi there to help Ahsoka be like, hey, you shouldn't be attached to him so much. Stop having such personal attachments. Aaliyah Secura, she's such a cutie, I like her a lot, but she's like, hey, you gotta not have attachments. Please don't do that. Also, what's fun is that they crash and Anakin's in a really bad condition after the crash, and they're like they're on this planet and they're trying to figure out, how do we like save him? And Ahsoka's like, I'm gonna be next to my master the entire time. And she's like, no, you have to come with me because we're gonna find somebody who's going to be able to help him. And we have to make sure that he survives. And what's fun is that there's crash landed. And this seems to be a very deserted planet. How would anybody help Anakin in this state? And it looks like it's a planet that doesn't have space travel, too. Like, if there were people here, it's very, very not sci-fi coded at all. It's very primitive coded. Luckily, they do find somebody. I like how distrustful this whole entire village is. But mostly it's the Elder and it seems like everybody's respecting the elder, no matter what they feel or not, whatever. And they're like, we're the peace. The peace is our way, the way of life. And there's a freaking mosquito that I'm looking at. Peace is our way of life. And these individuals would not even kill the mosquitoes trying to attack them. I would. I'll go. Yeah, go. I hate mosquitoes so much. Anyway, they're having like a fighting time. They're looking for the village. They find the village. They take the healer back. They fix up Anakin. And then now their main concern is to get off of this planet. And that's pretty much where the episode ends. I like in which they are about to crash into a star. And this is why you shouldn't have automatic things when it comes to freaking mosquitoes everywhere, man. I'm trying to like attack it. Anyway, this is why you should not have automatic pilots on all the time, especially since this computer system was like, oh, we got the wrong coordinates and it can't get rid of the coordinates unless we reset the power, which will be terrible because that also shuts off the life support as well. And then they have to shut off the power in order to get them away from this freaking star that they're about to collide into. And then they instead crash into this next to this planet. And it's a fun time, and holy crap, there's so many mosquitoes. I like this episode a lot because it teaches Ahsoka a hard lesson to not be attached to people and things, or else you'll have a bad time in life. I like this episode a lot. I gotta give it, it's a 7.3 out of 10. I'm Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 14, Defenders of Peace. It is directed by Stuart Lee, written by Bill Catterby. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The moral of this episode is, when surrounded by war, one must eventually take sides. And this pertains to this episode a lot. We got Anakin and Ahsoka and Aayla Secura. They're on this planet. They're trying to figure out a way to leave because the big old crash landed here. And also they learn about this separatist weapon that is being made to destroy all life. But leave the droids. Destroy all of them. And so they have like a big old weapon that they can use. And the droids will be fine. And so these freaking guys are like, we're going to be using, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be using this weapon on this village. And I'm like, they didn't do anything. And also this elder is like, we will not be part of this war. We will not defend ourselves. If we don't defend ourselves, that's okay by me because we'll be dying by our morals. And we got freaking Anakin and Ahsoka and Aayla Secura be like, but we're here to protect you. We can't just like not protect you, so they're here to protect them. And luckily, everybody in the village except for this freaking elder man is like, yeah, we're going to protect ourselves too. We're going to find a way to defend our right. We have to defend ourselves. We also got the healer's son who healed Anakin last episode. He was like, bro, we have to do something. We have to defend ourselves. And I like how eventually they all like turn against the elder in order for them to like survive. And eventually the elder's like, I get it, fine, we have to pick sides, and we picked the Republic side because the war encroached on them. They didn't want to be part of the war whatsoever, but the war went to them. We got a bunch of droids like here to just neutralize them, destroy them. Also, big old shield goes up, and it makes it so that the weapon that destroys like all life but leaves all the mechanical stuff, it makes it so it doesn't actually destroy them, which is good. And then they have to go in the droids, and the droids have to go to the shield, and then they have to go pow, 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 pow. And that's what the Jedi here are for, and luckily the Jedi save them, and then they go away. You know, it's a good time. I like this episode a lot because there's just so much. There's so much action. There's so much a drama. I really am enjoying the part. My favorite part of this episode has to be when there's this huge debate between the elderly man and the healer's son, and the healer's son's like, bro, come on, man. We can't just like let ourselves die. We have to do this. We have to protect ourselves. And we're going to go against you. And honestly, I was surprised that the Clone Wars has such deep messages like this. I'm like, wow, such a moral. A moral said so succinctly and easy for me to remember because of this episode goes directly with the moral, and I'm learning how to become a better person as I watch this
And I really like this. I don't necessarily want to be hating on Star Wars all the time if it doesn't deserve hate. And this episode definitely does not deserve hate. I gotta give it, honestly, I really like all the like I like all that part. That's my favorite part. Oh, and also the elderly thing. That's also a fun part too. And so I'm gonna give this one, it's a solid 7.6 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 15 Trespass. It is directed by Brian Kalen O'Connell, written by Stephen Melching. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. Obi-Wan is investigating these troops to be dying, and he goes to this moon and he discovers that there's this guy who be like, this is my moon! This episode's moral is arrogance diminishes wisdom, which is exactly what Chicho does. Yeah, Chicho, he's the chairman of this planet, all these people, and he's like, we've been here first. And Obi-Wan's like, well, if you're doing the killing, then did you kill my men? No. There must be separatists then. Did you kill these separatists? No. Then there must be like a third party. And the entire time he's like, this is my planet, this is my planet, I will not stand for this. I'll go to war to make it so we only have to be on this planet alone. I'll destroy all of them, you know, stuff like that. And everybody else is like, I'm not sure exactly if I believe you, if I stand with you on that. But that's what he does. He's like the entire time, "Rah, rah," right? And guess what? They discover this primitive species called the Talls, and we got Obi-Wan and Anakin are trying to communicate, hey, we're here for peace, and there's an obvious language barrier, but luckily through body language they can be talking and be like saying what they mean, which is just peace. And ultimately we got this senator chick, she's a representative, I guess, of this area, and she's trying to keep peace, and this freaking Choo-Choo guy's like, no, we must go to war, I must have this planet to myself, this moon to myself, I must have it, right? And no, I like how Obi-Wan's like, well, if this is your planet, then we have to decide that if it's your planet or not, in the Galactic Senate, and it was previously classified as being just completely desolate. Nobody's there. There's no life of any kind. But now, since there is life, there has to be like a whole government to it. Ugh, governments. And, you know, Obi-Wan's here to help smooth the process. And this guy is just like, I'm gonna keep this place to myself. I'm gonna keep it. Even these freaking Talls, they be attacking because there's a huge miscommunication, and Chi-Chu's like, I'm gonna attack them, and then they be attacking and they have to fight, and Chi-Chu ends up getting dead and dying, and everyone's like, but we want peace. He's like, everybody must avenge my death. You must avenge me. And everyone's like, no, dude, we're not going to avenge you. He's like, no, but everything. I'm like, bro, being so arrogant is what got you killed, bro. You're dead. You're super dead. You're done dead. You're 100% dead. No longer alive. And so pretty much the people will be like, well, we're just going to negotiate for peace, which is what you do. What they do, and Obi-Wan be like, yo, hey, representative chick, you gotta make sure that there's peace kept forever. Keep the peace going forever. Keep the peace going. And I like this episode because ultimately it's a fun display on how arrogant people ultimately get the shaft in the end. It's my favorite thing ever, is when arrogant people are like, I'm better than everybody. And I'm like, no, you're not. And saying that is how you get worse than everybody, actually. Because you know what's great about everybody? Everybody doesn't think they're better than everybody, except for some people do. And then those people, they eventually come out, and they're either, like, you either hate them for it, or they can prove that they're better than everybody by showing, oh, I'm better than everybody because of this thing that I can do. And if it's good enough, then it's like, okay, I get it. I understand the ego. But arrogance, without the need of arrogance, defeats wisdom. And I like this episode a lot. So I'm going to give it, it's a 7.7 out of 10. I'm in Sound and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy. It is directed by Stuart Lee, written by Drew Z. Greenberg. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. I like this episode in particular because we got the enemy keeps predicting what they're going to do. And we got the Republic, they're like, what? How are they knowing all of our battle plans? And so they gotta like figure out who done did it. But luckily, some doofus left their comlink on and was like sulking around, looking at the command center, which I think was a terrible thing for this person to do if he wanted to have his identity remain secret, because we got a couple of these clones, they'd be like, we're gonna get you, we're gonna get you. And then eventually they figure out who done did it. It was friggin' Slick, and he was like a lead of the frickin' platoon, man. He was like a lead of their squad. And he was like, ugh, I hate that we have to work for the Jedi the entire time. And I'm like, bro, but you like betrayed everybody. Because what, the Separatists, you didn't like the Jedi, you were on the Separatist side, you got like really disgruntled. Part of me thought the entire time, up when Slick was introduced as like a character, part of me was like, man, that must be him. That must be the guy who done did the dirty deed of treason. He done did dirty. He shouldn't have done that. Why did he do that? He didn't really have like a solid exit strategy either. What did he think was going to happen? But anyway, we got freaking these clones be like, oh, well, somebody in Slick's platoon, and then they go to Slick's platoon, and Slick the entire time's like, you don't have to do that, you don't have to do that, you don't have to do that. I'm like, bro, you look so suspicious doing that. You look so suspicious. Be like, oh, don't talk to them, they didn't do anything wrong, And everyone's like, who done did it? And then everyone's like, oh, Slick, and he's like, oh, I gotta run. And I'm like, you look so guilty. If you just stayed your cool, you would have looked not guilty, okay? Somebody would have been like, oh, maybe they were using Slick's credentials or something. Who knows? I find it really funny because Slick ultimately shows himself as the hidden enemy, as it were, and goes and gets locked up because of it. I'm like, bro, you're gonna go to jail now. For what? What did you do that for, Slick? Because you feel sickened by the Jedi because you don't like what you're doing for the Jedi? You don't like working for the Jedi? Hey, newsflash, doofus. The Separatists are bad people. They do bad things. And you know, the Jedi, they'll do whatever it takes, but ultimately they're for the good. And I like how Slick turns out to be the bad guy, even though he seems to be like the higher up in command, and he seems to have the most trust with the other clones. It's sad, and it's a sign of betrayal, it's sign of sadness for all of them to be like, oh man, I can't believe that Slick would betray them. I am so sad. Why? I've never known Slick, but I hate him. No, I don't like Slick at all. Slick's not a good dude. Why did he do that? I gotta give this episode, it's a 7.5 out of 10. I'm Salad, and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 17, Blue Shadow Dream. It is directed by Giancarlo Volpe, written by Craig Titley. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. This episode follows Padme, and she arrives on Naboo. Also Jar Jar's there, and so C-3PO. And there's a bunch of separatists on Naboo. And this queen is like, hey, where are these droids coming from? And so it's up to them to find out where are these droids coming from. They analyze this mud that's on this droid, and it's like, where is this mud coming from? And also, the fact that Jar Jar is so clumsy. All the time clumsy. They're trying to get some information out of this droid, and all this information that this droid can give is there's a lab and they can't tell the separatists about it. And then the droid's like, oh, but you're actually not separatists. You're my enemy. I shouldn't be telling anything about you. And then Jar Jar destroys them in the pursuit of this bug that's specific to this swamp where there would be mud. And so they go to this swamp and they have these coordinates and they send the coordinates out, but then Padme and C-3PO get napped, and Ahsoka is sent to get Padme alongside with, oh man, I don't remember her name, but she was the pink person who's also Jar Jar species. Oh man, hey, comment section, what is Jar Jar species, please and thank you. She's one of them. She speaks in the same way that Jar Jar's does. She's native to Naboo. She notices the animals are dying. And then guess who pulls up? We got Ahsoka is there. And she's like, wow, what are all these dead guys doing here? And she's like, oh, the water's bad. It's like, that is weird.
And then she leads them to the swamp, pretty much. I said that out of order, but that's her importance, is she leads them to the swamp, and that's why she's there with Ahsoka. And when Padme gets got, I'm like, oh no. I can already tell that Anakin is having a fit about this, and he is. The way that he's acting in this is very obvious. It's very emotional. Whenever they tell him the news that Padme's been kidnapped, he's like, what? We have to go get Padme. I mean, Senator Amidala. I'm like, bro, it's clear that you guys are in a hidden relationship. In the secret lab, Padme discovers this evil scientist who is recreating the virus, a very deadly virus, the Blue Shadow virus. That is very deadly, kills all organic life. And I'm thinking, bro, but wouldn't you also be dead too? Yes, the sweet release of death. I think he just wants to die. I like how he speaks. He says, yeah, like a lot. That's his speak tick. I think that's what it's called, a tick? Yes. I like the way that he speaks. Anakin's able to save Padme, and also Obi-Wan is here. Obi-Wan's really good at leading these people to go get them, find all those bombs, because his plan is to have all these viruses and bombs that go and put them in key places in the Republic, and boom, everyone's sick and dying and everyone's dead, and the droids are the ultimate victor. And I was like, wow, this is really heavy. They have to do something about this, like right now. And they have to capture the scientist. And there's many times in which the scientist goes and tries to leave. And there's many times he's almost makes it, but he's ultimately thwarted. And the end of the episode is with his capture. And I'm like, you guys, you should take away those vials from him. I'm sure that they will. This is a fun episode. This is just like that one episode where they caught that coward man, Gunray, yeah, Gunray. They caught him. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to end badly. No way. Especially with something this interesting. I'm sure the next episode is going to be just the continuation of this. I like this episode a lot. I like the stakes of it, ultimately. And I like how Padme and Anakin are trying to hide their relationship. And it's very obvious to me, but I have dramatic irony. Nobody else knows what's happening. I've got to give this episode, I like it a lot. It's a 7.6 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 18, Mystery of 1,000 Moons. It is directed by Jesse Ye, written by Brian Larson. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows directly after the end of the last episode. They have caught their dastardly virus maker, Vindy. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. He made the virus and he won't give up an antidote. They have all the viruses except for one is tooketh by just a droid robot that was on the ship that took it and then decided to release it. And it gets released on the ship, but luckily it's contained. It's self-contained in this one little area of the ship. Unfortunately, Ahsoka and Padme and C-3PO and a bunch of clones are there. And Padme at first has a suit. Also Jar Jar is there. Jar Jar, his suit stays on. Somehow it doesn't break, but Padme's does. I mean, I get that she was shot at and it broke, and it broke when she fell or something. I don't know at what point it fell, but it broke, and now she's sick. And I'm like, oh no, Anakin's not gonna be happy with this. And Ahsoka is here. And I think Ahsoka has a higher tolerance to the virus, because at first she's running around destroying all the droids, making sure that they don't open everything. Because if they open anything, let the virus out, everyone on Naboo dies. They haven't left yet. So they have to kill the droids, and then they slowly die. They get sicker and sicker, they get coughing. And Anakin's like, there's only one cure, okay, the medical droid tells me there's a cure, and I have to go get this root from this very specific plant on this very specific moon, and that's what I'll do. So he goes there, and he goes with Obi-Wan. I like how emotional Anakin is in this episode, because he's just flat out defying Obi-Wan. And, you know, he does that all of the time. But this one, he's just not letting Obi-Wan have any chance to speak whatsoever. Anakin runs, starts slashing up these droids that are just saying, "Welcome to Igor," or Igil? I remember it started with Igor? So, yeah, I think that's the moon. And they're just like saying, "Hello, hello," and Anakin's just slashing them. And then a kid, comes out. He's like, "Man, why are you gonna do that to my droids, man?" And so, what's fun is they get saying, "You can't leave. You can't leave whatsoever." Obi-Wan, Anakin, we'll see about that. And they try to leave, and there's this energy field that comes up and open. And then they return, they're like, "Oh, it's a weapon, you guys. We can destroy it." And we got some superstitious people on the planet be like, "It's a ghost! It's the ghost of Digor? Digor. It started with a D, I don't remember. But the ghost, I like the superstition nature of it. But Obi-Wan's like, "Yeah, I know you have a superstition, but it's not real, and I'll prove it to you. We'll destroy that weapon. Give me some droids." It goes, whoom, and they send some droids up, whoom, and then the weapon field turns on, and then they destroy it while it's nice and on, and it's nice and amazing, and I like it, and everything blows up, and now they're free to leave, but also they get the route that they're coming for, and then they go back to Naboo, and I like the setback nature of it, because then we get shots of them coughing and dying, and I'm like, man, please don't die. Please don't die. Y'all, please don't die. I'm getting bit up by mosquitoes. I'm gonna die by mosquito death. Please don't die. And he goes, vroom, and he gets the route to them in time. And I'm like, how do you do the antidote? I guess they have medical droids. But how does the antidote work? Who knows? But now they're recovering, and Padme and Anakin, they have a hold of a hand. And I'm like, that's not subtle at all. You guys are lucky that nobody's looking at you guys, because I am looking at you guys. And the way that you guys talk to each other, it's like you guys are dating. It's like you guys are married. I get it. You guys are in love. It's a very distinct way of talking to somebody. And it's very familiar in the way in which they address each other too. How is nobody picking up on this? I swear Obi-Wan's picking up on this. Why isn't he commenting anything? I like this episode a lot. They contain the blue shadow virus. They did it. They did it. I like this episode a lot. I like just showing everything that's happening in terms of the relationships. First of all, you got the whole general plot, everything that's happening, all the goings aroundings. And then you got like the individual romantic moments or platonic moments or learning moments, all that fun jazz I like. So I've got to give this episode, because the tension was so strong, and I really like the color blue that they use. I like that color blue. I'll have to give it a 7.8 out of 10.
I'm in Sound, and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 19, Storm over Ryloth. It is directed by Brian Kalin O'Connell, written by George Christo. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. The moral is great. The road to greatness is often rough, or something like that. It was like that, but I like this moral a lot, especially since we got frickin' Ahsoka. She's been given her first squadron to command. She's going to be leading them. And you know what happens? She goes and leads them right into a battle. And you know what she does? She frickin' denies orders. She's like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna do my own thing. We got frickin' Anakin's like, hey, pull out. We got a frickin' Admiral says pull out, and both times she's like, no, I got this. I got this. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. Okay? Okay? Cool, cool. And then she loses a bunch of people and she feels really bad. And I'm like, you should feel bad. You just denied orders. And I also like how Ahsoka is all sad and, I can't believe it. Oh. And Anakin's like, I can't believe it. She's like, I can't believe it. He's like, well, you're going to have to do it again. And she's like, what? Come on. Why you got to do this to me? I don't want to do it. And Anakin's like, well, you're going to have to learn somehow. You know what the stakes are. You're going to lose a lot of your people if you don't do this right. So you're just going to have to lead another charge. They're trying to break through this blockade so they can go and help these people on the planet that are currently being captured and held hostage by the Separatists. And it's up to them to make sure that they can save them. And pretty much this episode makes it so they go break the blockade and they're going on the planet. And because of Ahsoka, they're able to do that. But luckily, Ahsoka has to learn that lesson first of, like, you gotta be careful. You have people's lives on your hands now. You gotta think real hard about your decisions, Ahsoka. And at first, she's real careless and she feels the weight of it. And I like how she feels the weight of her decisions in this one. And I like how Anakin's like, bro, I get it. But you can't be disobeying orders like that. You please gotta. But I'm also like, oh my goodness, Anakin, she's your Padawan. You taught her perfectly. You don't do any listening either. You know, I like this one a lot just because Ahsoka learns the hard way about what it's like to be a leader and how much of a responsibility it is. And I like how she's always trying to, like, get the responsibility more and more, but she doesn't fully understand it. It's like, I think it's just like a young person thing. She's really ambitious. She's like, I want more and more and more, and then she's given more and more, and then she has to deal with the fact that, like, oh no, I have to think about more when I ask for more things. And I like this episode a lot because it teaches Ahsoka a lesson. I gotta give this one, it's a 7.4 out of 10. I'm Salad and I saw Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 20, Innocence of Ryloth. It is directed by Justin Ridge, written by Henry Gilroy. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. This episode mostly focuses on the impacts of war that not even many people would have even predicted, you know? Who would predict that this colony would be so shooketh by the war? Let me tell you what happens. So we got freaking Mace Windu. I love Mace Windu. He's trying to go into the planet, and guess what? There's a bunch of, like, big old tank gunner boys making it so that they can't. And they can't be attacked because they got the hostages, and the freaking Separatists know that they got the hostages, so they're using the hostages as some sort of shield. And so Obi-Wan proposes the plan, what if I go down? What if I go down with a couple of the clone boys? And so they go down, and they're trying to figure out a way to free the hostages, but also make it so, like, these gunners can be destroyed, right? These little big old gun boys. And while they're, like, looking around, having a little bit of a search, you got freaking my boy Waxer and Boyle, two clones. Waxer finds a little girl, and she's a little cute, and she's just separated from everybody, and she's trying to lead them some way. I like how distracted they get because they're not supposed to be the distracted. They're supposed to, like, find a way to save everybody, right? But ultimately, their little distraction does help because this little girl sends them to this underground tunnel and meets up with these fellas, and she's like, I know the underground tunnels real well. And then they get all the hostages out via the underground tunnels, and it makes it so they have, like, a big old space for Windu to land and do an attack in. This episode ultimately sets up for the next one, which is them going to be taking over the capital, which has been overrun by Separatists. But luckily they got this one place did safe, and I like the pacing of the episode because ultimately I'm like, what is this little girl doing? She's distracting them. But ultimately she turns out to be very useful and very helpful to their plans and everything that they do, which is pretty nice and sweet, which I like. I like this episode a lot. I especially like the part in which we got the chick. She's cute. She's, like, really young, and she also ends up lining up with them. Ultimately, I like how the little girl goes and finds her family, and they get reunited. I was kind of sad. I was hoping that they weren't dead, and luckily they're not dead, because if they were dead, that'd be so sad. That'd be so sad. Where would the little girl go? Go with somebody in the village at least. But they get reunited. It's a fun time, and I like this a lot just because they have a big old reunion, and it's really nice and pleasurable, and I'm really excited for the next part. And so I've got to give this one, it's a 7.6 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 21, Liberty on Ryloth. It is directed by Rob Coleman, written by Henry Gilroy. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode follows Windu. He's doing an attack, and they're all doing an attack. We got Obi-Wan's doing an attack, we got Mace Windu's doing an attack, but unfortunately, we got the droids. There's too many of them. There's so many of them, they gotta find other ways to defeat them without brute force, because that's what the droids have. They have the numbers. They have the power in the numbers. So many numbers. There's a whole lot of struggling happening. Ultimately, Mace Windu has to go to this guy. This guy, he's politically against Senator Ta, who is like the senator of this world, and then we got like this political rival. And he's like a real extremist. He's like, I hate the government, all that stuff. And there's warnings, hey, you should not be pairing up with him because he's a little bit unpredictable. But ultimately, he's the only way that they can win this war, is they need his help, they need his men. And ultimately, Senator Ta is like, I don't trust him, man. I don't trust him at all whatsoever. Those birds are going crazy. I got distracted by them. And Senator Ta would be like, I don't trust them at all. And they'd be working together, and there's like this degree of suspicion. And ultimately, in order for them to work together, there has to be this deal made, whether they have to still work together or they're just going to be destroyed, and the Separatists are just going to be in their house the entire time. They don't want the Separatists on their home planet. I wouldn't either. Separatists eating my food. I mean, I know they're droids. These friggin' droids taking up space, being annoying. I wouldn't want them near me either. So they have to come to a deal that this Senator Ta will make it so that there's no more chance of an armed army going against them, getting them, making sure that their planet is tooketh, their capital is tooketh. And in exchange, the extremist rebel dude, he has to make sure he promises not to take power, and that's in the way that they can ultimately work together. I like how at the very beginning they're very confident, but then throughout the episode they have to be like, well, I think we have to leave, and Dooku's like, bro, you have to leave. Freaking Tambor be like, I'm gonna get all my riches before I leave this planet. I'm gonna make sure that I get all of my riches before leaving. And guess what? This makes it so that the plasmid bridge, which is the only way they can get to this building where Tambor is at and ultimately stop everything, there's a plasmid bridge that goes down. And instead of getting caught, they go into like the shell of the droids that are crossing the plasma bridge, and then they go run, and then they cross, and it's like, uh-oh, bro, you better get out of there. And Dooku's like, bro, you gotta get out of there. And Tambor's like, but my goods, they're here. Oh no, the Jedi, they're gonna get me. And then, you know what freaking Count Dooku does? He does the done dirty. He goes, I'm just gonna leave you here. And this guy just leaves. I'm like, bro, you got too selfish, you got too greedy, and guess what? You're dead. You're dying, you're dead and dying, okay? And these people got their planet back, and they did it with great success. And I like this episode because it goes to show that this freaking Tambor guy, he should have just gone when he could, but he didn't, and therefore he is now dead. I like this episode. It's a 7.7 out of 10. I'm in Salad and I saw Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1 Episode 22, Hostage Crisis. It is directed by Giancarlo Volpe, written by Brian Larson. If you haven't seen this episode, I'll spoil it for you. This episode follows a bunch of bounty hunters going into this Senate building. There's a bunch of senators in this building, including Palpatine. And ultimately, these bounty hunters, they're just looking for Zero the Hutt. I remember when he got captured earlier in this season. Yeah, they're breaking him out of prison. They're breaking him out. The big old lead bounty hunter, his name is Cad Bane, and he is going to be very big important later on. But this is his first introduction, and honestly, I like how cool he is. He can overtake this base pretty easily, and honestly, everybody seems to have some sort of struggle fighting him and his men. And he has like a really good bounty hunter boys next to him, and he's the head honcho bounty hunter, but he's got the other bounty hunters there too. And I like how there's bounty hunters. They're hunting for the bounty, and they get Zero. And I like the process. We got freaking Anakin over here. He's like lovey-dovey on Padme, and Padme is like, but bro, we can't be seen together. And also, we can't escape because I have this very important mission. Please, we can't go on a vacation, not even for 2 weeks. People are going to miss us, you know? And I don't think we should go on that vacation and love each other and be all dovey and lovey on each other. And Anakin's like, my love for you is the only thing important. I'm like, bro, chill out, Anakin. Please stop. I get why you turn to the dark side because you just want to love Padme, and she's got her work, and you've got your Jedi work. You guys can't really be together because of it's like a work colleague thing. Can't really be doing that, no. The bounty hunters lock everything down. They make it so Palpatine can't communicate. He's trying to make it so that Zero leaves and is able to escape. And I like how Anakin, although he is lightsaberless, I like how these bounty boys are like, oh my goodness, he's lightsaberless. It's gonna be easy for us to capture him. I'm like, no, it's not. Especially since Padme has the lightsaber, you guys were looking at her, trying to search her, and then Anakin comes and does a big old distraction, making it so you guys forget that she has a lightsaber. And at the end, Anakin grabs his lightsaber and is able to help them escape, but ultimately Zero escapes. And I like how he escapes, and he's like, well, it's time for y'all to pay up now. I helped you escape, now you gotta give me money. And he definitely has a lot of money, Zero does. He's part of the Hutts, man. Like, they have a ton of money. Hutts living comfortably in Tatooine. Zero, he's from Coruscant. He can probably live real comfortably there, too. From what I saw when he was captured, he was living real comfortably. He's a real greedy boy, too. He was willing to kill his nephew's son. Terrible person. But he was willing to do done dirty business. And he was doing done did dirty. I also like how this goes to show that a properly prepared bounty hunter plus bounty hunter squad can easily ambush and overtake the Republic with a few key strategies. You might not be able to keep the Jedi in chains, but you gotta make sure he's kept long enough where you can make a successful escape, and that's what these guys do. And it just leads into the next season, and I'm really excited for the next season. I like how this season went. I really like the Clone Wars. I'm excited to see more and more plot. I like how the plot is kicking up. The plot is kicking up, it's going good, and each and every episode adds on to itself. I was not expecting Zero to make an appearance this early on in the season. I know that she was already a person, or he, whatever. It's a blob, it's a slob. What gender is a slug? Literally. It's a literal pile of slug, is what Zero is. I think it's a she, or he. I can't tell what gender. But anyway, I was not expecting Zero to be appearing again so soon after the last appearance. And honestly, I like this episode, and I like this season a lot, and I like this series a lot. I was not expecting to like it this much, especially since the movies, I was just like, I like them. But this one's adding a lot more backstory and detail to all the characters, this entire series is. And I'm really excited to watch more of this series, so I'm about to give this episode, it's a 7.7 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another on the platform really likes that. If I haven't reviewed it on a channel, there's a chance I haven't seen it at all. Get them Patreon requests in at patreon.com/ASEPresents. $20 dinos for one movie review per 1 month. If I haven't reviewed on a channel, there's a chance I haven't seen it at all. If I really haven't seen anything, actually. I have not seen anything. pretty much, except for if I've reviewed it. I didn't grow up watching TV or movies like everybody else did, so I'm just trying to catch up on what everybody else is seeing. So get them requests in, patreon.com/ASEPresents $20 dinos for 1 movie review per 1 month. Support the daily grindiness by going to autisticboobs.com. If you want to see photos and videos of me wearing this and not wearing this, that's where you can go, autisticboobs.com. And until next time, I'm Mint Salad Saw. I'll see you later, my salad croutons and bacon bits.